Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We will be continuing the Venture XL 600mm cube printer build. As you saw before in my previous videos, we had gotten up to the point to where now we are on assembly guide 2.1.4, which is we have these rails mounted on these extrusions, and now we will go ahead and be putting those onto the corners, and then we will put the top frame on. So I will go ahead and get everything. We are going to need M5 T-nuts, which we have here in a bag, and it calls for M5 by 18 socket head cap screws. So we have those two things. We have the frame set up over here on my kitchen table to where it takes up the entire kitchen table. So it'll show you how big this is and what a behemoth it is. We have it set up. I'll go ahead and bring everything over. We have two that are towards the left side and then two that are towards the right side when we're talking about this here in correlation to those holes. So, in the last video, when I was putting these on, I had put this thinking that this was going to be the top. Well, this is not the top. These actually go like this. So, I am going to be leaving this one open. I put this one down towards the bottom. With that being said, I guess there's actually, unless you do it an umbilical setup with the printer, you actually lose a little bit of print space up towards the top on the Z-axis. So that's why I don't think that this is going to be too crucial. I have the one that's right here, which is roughly about an inch off of the top. So I'm going to put this together as so. If it becomes a problem, I can always sneak another one in here. Obviously, I would have to take the printer apart, but that's just taking the top off. So it wouldn't be that difficult to do that. And I'm just hoping for the best. So we're gonna leave this one here, this one. These are all tightened down. Everything is ready to go. I have not greased these up or anything. These were extremely oiled when I took them out of the bag. They still are extremely oiled. There's oil that runs all along it. It's all over my hands and such. So we should be ready to go as per the previous video that we saw. These M5 by 18 socket head cap screws that we're going to be using to mount these, it is a 4mm hex. I'm also, before I get too far, I'm going to be marking where I want the front to be. It can either be this side or that side. I'm going to go ahead and designate it as this side. Those slots that you can see, if you can see them from back there, you should be able to. I talked about them in the previous videos. There's little slots that open up towards the top. Those have to be on the left and right side of the unit. So just a little reminder so we don't forget anything. None of the stuff that goes into the T-nuts is going to be Loctited. I Loctited the frame, but the other T-nuts I am not going to Loctite. None of these rails were Loctited. I'm not going to be Loctiting the ones that go into here. Just I don't want anything to happen with the T-nut, that it strips out or something happens to where it doesn't, it makes it difficult. Should I have to service this, break it down, whatever it may be. So this is what we're looking at here. We're on 2.1.4, the Z-axis rail assembly installation, and we will be following this. It says first install the M5 T-nut on the 2020R profile, and we'll go ahead and get those set up per the instructions. As you can see, I'm not sure if you can see here, there's a little gap on the top, which is what we have. That's why we have 2 left and 2 right, because one goes here, and then these are on the opposite of where they're mounting. From the look of it, this is definitely going to be a snug fit when I try and get it into that extrusion. I actually might have to take this off the table in order to make this happen, because I don't know if I'm going to have enough. Oh, I'm just going to have enough clearance to get it up by the ceiling to slide it down. So yeah, it's going to be a tight fit for sure. Okay, so we got one here. I think I'm gonna get all the T-nuts as I did with these, the rails. I'm gonna get all the T-nuts on, and then I'll go ahead and put each one on. And the nice thing about the second revision of this printer, when the other folks that got the first 50 back, it didn't seem like any of the bags were labeled. Any of the hardware bags. All of these hardware bags were labeled. So I was able to, on a table off to the side, I set everything up by size. M5, M4, there's even some M2, M2 and a half stuff, and then just other miscellaneous like spacers and washers and such. I was able to set all that up by size based off what the package said, because they were all well labeled, and just made it a little easier on myself, because proper planning prevents piss poor performance. right, there's another one done. And I'll give you a close-up of what I'm doing here. So you can see the socket head cap screw goes in the little half moon portion, which allows it to seat flush there. Then I just put this T-nut. And I'm trying to make it as easy as possible on myself. So since this is going to be going down the extrusion like this, I'm going to be putting the T-nut down like this. So you can see the little ball will be down. Okay, just so when I drop it down, it'll sit nice in there. I don't know, I just like to keep them all the same way rather than have one like this, one like this, one like this. I don't know if it matters, but uniformity is always an okay option. Okay. Alright. Now this one. And this video is not sponsored by anybody, but I do want to give a shout out to Fabrico for obviously getting me the printer. You know, I would say that they went a little bit above and beyond and had Fysetc send it to me directly from their warehouse versus going to Fabrico and then sending it to me. They had them just drop ship it directly to me. So it did save a few days on shipping. So that, you know, huge shout out to them for all the times I've reached out to them, just checking the status of it, and they were super helpful, very nice folks. Highly suggest. All right, so now I have all the T-nuts in there. I'm going to grab a piece of tape. so I can mark where the front is, just so I don't lose where the front is as I go along and start diving into other things. All right, so that will be the front where the tape is on. Because now once I put these on, everything has to go in a certain way so it fits in the front. So let's see, we need one of these. It's gonna go over there. So we will go ahead, go over here. Okay, so now let's take a look. As you can see, I just put one in there. There's a little gap on the top here. I think that's for the top to sit in, and then it'll butt up against this or come really close. So it looks like we're doing it the right way. They have a little gap here at the top, which we do have, and then we have the space on the actual extrusion that we just put in with the rail, that 2-inch space up at the top that you can see from the rail to the top of that extrusion. And then you also have that additional space I spoke of, the another 1.5 inches, 2 inches from the top of that extrusion to the top of the corners. So we need one of these, which will go over here. Okay, there's the second one. So as you can tell, we have the screws coming from in to out here and in to out here. And then we have, like I spoke on before, we have the gap here, the rail, gap here, the rail. So everything is uniform there. Now we'll go ahead and do the two front ones. And they're going to be exactly the same thing. So all these are going to be facing each other. Okay. And the last one. It goes like this. For a second there, I was nervous. I thought I put this one on backwards. I was like, no, I did two the same and two the other way. It goes like this. I had to turn it upside down. All right. So these two are facing that way. These two are facing this way. They are all in place. Now I'm going to go ahead and tighten everything. And what I'm going to do to tighten everything, I'm just very slightly going to snug it. And then I'm going to use the same procedure as it told me before, which I'm doing like very, very light snugging just to get it all sucked up to the extrusion. Very light just to take the slop out of it. Nothing crazy. But then I will be using the in to out method, doing that they suggested when we did the rails. So when we did the rails, it told us to start from the middle and move out. So I'm going to do the same thing on these, start from the middle and move out. Okay. So we have those just slightly snug. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen this one actually. And I'm going to make sure that it's pulled tight towards the extrusion this way. I didn't do it on these two, I did it on those two because I saw it, noticed it while I was doing it, that those were kind of sucking in. So I just pinched it closed and it bringing it closer to that extrusion. Loosening all of them. Give a nice little pinch. Keep it closed. All right, so now everything is snug. It's just very lightly hand tight. Now I'm gonna start tightening these. Okay. And all of these are tight. So now we will move to this one. Okay, that one's tight. Good. Just snug this one. Still snug. Okay. So now we have all of those tight. Just gonna do a quick double check. Can never be too sure. Okay, so all those are tight. Those are all set. Now I have to get the top, I believe. Let's see what this says. So we did this. We put the M5T nut and the M5 by 18 socket head cap screw. Screw installation direction through the side. Yep, through the sides. Okay. Then, yep. Then it says prepare for the top. So let's see. I believe I removed some of the M5 by 12 button head cap screws. I believe I removed some of those because they were getting in the way when I went to retighten it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean those M5 T nuts and those and put them back on the table that we have. And then I'm going to grab these new ones and then I'll go ahead and get that set up. So we have our M5 by 12 button head cap screws. And our 3mm for these. And the Loctite 242. And I was actually going to use the purple Loctite, but then somebody had told me that, oh, why not just use the blue? So I just went with the blue. The purple is like for like smaller screws, which actually the purple is meant for this size of screw. So when I didn't realize that when I was looking at the different Loctites that it goes dependent on the screw size. So it actually is for like M2.5s, M4. I think it goes up to like M5 maybe for the purple, and then the blue is beyond that. So I know it goes something like where the blue is a heavier lock and then the purple is kind of a lighter lock. But then I also noticed that it depends on the size of the screw. So, and with the aluminum, that's why I wasn't sure to use purple or blue. If blue was going to be too strong, that it could do something to the aluminum if I try and loosen it later on. If I got to take it apart to get it out of the house, whatever it may be. So I just went with blue per better recommendation from a few folks. What I will do is make sure so in yesterday's video, if you remember in video 1 and 1.5, this corner is a little bit off, and if I were to square it up, I would have had a huge gap, and I wasn't sure how moving it 1/8 of an inch on just one side would affect everything, like the gantry and all that stuff. So I was ensuring that this is still the corner that is oblong, because I'm going to put the same corner. I have one corner on this as well that is the same. So I'm going to be keeping those uniform, and both of those corners are going to match up over here. So we figured out which corner it is. It is this corner. And I'm also trying to get this done as fast as possible because I don't want the blue Loctite to dry while I'm sitting here trying to put these in. I don't think it should because it shouldn't take me that long to do this, but alright, last corner. Okay. So we will try and put this on the top. Okay. That one's a little weird, not sure why that's like that, but we'll loosen that top one. Maybe it's binding up. Oh, okay. So, yeah, I kind of got to make sure that all these are free. Because that one, the bottom one was a little further out, so when I tightened this one, it bound the bottom one. So I just put it in a little bit, so when I tighten it, it has room to suck into it and it doesn't affect the bottom screw. So actually, I'm going to do that all the way around. I'll look and see if it says that it should be on the extrusion right here, because this one right here, this extrusion is perfect for in here. This extrusion, and what I mean by the extrusion is the one that the rail is mounted on, the 20 by 20. there's a little gap. I can actually get like my fingernail on there. There's probably like a 2 millimeter gap. So I want to see if the manual says that I match this up and this must be flush, or do I just bottom it out against the extrusions and then that's it? And I hope it clarifies, because these three have a gap of about 2 to 3 mils, if not more. Okay, what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna go about this is I am going to flush it, which I already did. I flushed it on the top, okay? So I flushed it on the top. Anything that changes from here, or if I have to modify where it is, there shouldn't be a discrepancy because it's bottomed out towards the bottom extrusion. But if there's any discrepancy in the top height of it, I can change that in the software and just limit it. I believe one of the other YouTubers, they limited it at like 590, and that was just because of the motor and the drag chain was hitting on the motor, or it was bottoming out, whatever it was. So if that does come into play, which I hope it doesn't, I'll figure it out when I need to figure it out. This one. Just going around doing a sanity check, really, just making sure that all of them are tight. Always like to double check. You never know. Okay. Everything is tight, and that is the frame for the Venture XL. Now let's finish up. There's one more part to where we put those cross members in that the beds are going to sit on. So let's see what it tells us here. There is E, D, and E extrusion. So it looks like those might have a little special notch to them, so those will be pretty easy to find. So let's go snag those. There's a 20 by 40 and 40-40 in the middle. Okay, so this might be it. Question mark. Okay, yeah, that's definitely it. And then let's see, there should be two other notched 2040s. Okay, so this is going to take M5 T-nuts and M5 by 8 button head cap screws. And then this little bracket piece, this little plastic, is that plastic? Okay. Well, what I'm going to do is, since that's kind of crucial and these are kind of sitting up in the air, I want that to be flat with everything. I am going to move this back over to the counter because that's the flattest space. That's where I did everything else for it. So I'm going to call this a wrap up of this part, and then we'll go 2.5 to finish up this bottom portion. And it'll also segment it. So let's go, and you can kind of see, so this is what I'm looking at. So once I get it all set up, there's an M5 T-nut, and then there's a screw that goes, this has a double way, so it goes here and here in this piece. There's two T-nuts that you put in there. And then it's an M5 by 8 button head cap screw. So let me go ahead, get this set up, and we'll see you in the next short video. Hit that like button, subscribe, share with your friends, family, anybody.